My name is David. I was sitting in Lisa's office. Yeah, Lisa, my wife. She was the big boss in our division, the head honcho. Me? I was just a lowly account rep, way down the corporate food chain. When she first got promoted, I admit, I felt a little on edge. I mean, it is not every day your wife becomes your boss. But with all the management layers between us, I figured it would not be a problem. Turns out, I was wrong. Your numbers are way down, Mr. David, Lisa said, using that clipped, professional tone she reserved for the office. You were the worst performer of the year in your division. I am afraid we have no choice. Xavier is waiting outside to escort you to your desk so you can collect your belongings. Xavier was one of the company's security guards, a hulking guy with arms the size of tree trunks. Hearing his name made my stomach sink. At work, Lisa and I always called each other Mr. and Ms. Sanders, playing the professional game. She had even kept her maiden name after the wedding. She said it was for professional reasons, but everyone in the office knew we were married. Heck, I had a picture of her on my desk, a shot of her shaking hands with the chairman of the board after her big promotion. And now? 9 years of loyal service to this company, and I was getting canned because my numbers were off? That is it, I said, my voice rising. 9 years, and I am just out because my numbers slipped? If you had even bothered to listen to me, you would know. Please stop, Lisa interrupted, her tone firm. The decision has been made. Let us not make this harder than it has to be. For some reason, that hit me as absurdly funny. Harder? I said, leaning back in my chair. Sure thing, Miss Sanders. I mean, boss. Whatever you want. She must have hit some kind of panic button because Xavier suddenly filled the doorway, all 300 pounds of him. His face said he did not want to be here, but he had a job to do. Xavier, Lisa said, cool as ever, please escort Mr. Sanders to his desk. I glanced at him and forced a grin. Come on, X. Like the lady said, let us not make this any harder than it has to be. She was still talking as I walked out the door. People avoided looking at me, which told me most of them had known this was coming. That stung. I walked past them slowly, making eye contact with anyone who dared glance my way. Most looked away immediately. A few of the women actually blushed. It did not take me more than 15 minutes to pack up. I had never kept many personal items in my office. As I walked out with my small box of belongings, Xavier handed me something. You forgot this, Mr. Sanders, he said, holding out the expensive pen and pencil set Lisa had given me when I made Salesman of the Year for the first time. I looked at it for a second, then dropped it into the trash can along with her picture. No, I didn't. Garden drove me home in the company car so he could take it back to the office. He tried making conversation a couple of times, but when he saw I was not in the mood, he gave up. As I got out of the car, he reached over to shake my hand. Sorry, man. Sorry it went down like this. I took his hand because, honestly, I like the guy. Me too, I said before walking into the house. The house felt unfamiliar, almost like I was seeing it for the first time. There was barely any trace of me in the decor. It was as if Lisa had been gradually erasing me from our home, just like she had from her work. That thought gnawed at me. Was I failing her at home, too? Was she minimizing me everywhere because I was not keeping my numbers up? Lisa came home around 7. Late, even for her. I was watching a baseball game, pretending not to notice her as she walked in. Hi, honey, she said brightly. Sorry I am late. Meetings ran over. You know how the board loves the sound of their own voices. I did not respond. I just kept my eyes on the game. What's for dinner? She asked. Over the years, we had a routine. Whoever got home first cooked. Lately, though, that meant I cooked. I could count on one hand the number of times she had made dinner in the past year, and most of those were because I was traveling. Whatever you feel like making yourself, I said flatly. I already ate. She stared at me for a moment, clearly surprised, before the floodgates opened. Surely you are not mad about today, she said, her voice rising. It was a business decision, honey. It had nothing to do with you personally. I still love you just as much. I turned to her, laughing bitterly. For an executive, Lisa, you are acting pretty clueless right now. Of course, I am angry. I am pissed beyond words. You could not have handled this worse if you tried. Your numbers were down, she snapped. And boss, he has been on edge for months. He brought me the data. What was I supposed to do? Let you off the hook just because we are married? I had to send a message to the team. If I went easy on you, I would lose their respect. Respect? I said, my voice shaking with anger. When did you stop respecting me as a man? As an employee? If you cared about me at all, personally or professionally, you would have handled this differently. You could have talked to me, given me a heads up. Hell, you could have let me resign. Do you have any idea how hard it is going to be for me to find another job now? I am the guy who could not even cut it at his own wife's company. Who is going to hire me after that? She looked like she wanted to argue but thought better of it. You know what? I said, standing up. Forget it. We are done talking about this. I am going to finish my game. Why do you not make yourself some dinner? She sputtered for a moment before storming into the kitchen. Later, she came back downstairs wearing her go-to "no sex tonight" outfit, an old t-shirt and ratty sweatpants. She said goodnight, but I just stared at the screen. When I finally went to bed, I did not go to our room. I set up in the guest room, locking the door behind me. She knocked a few times, demanding to be let in, but I ignored her. The lock rattled for a bit before I heard her sigh and walk away. Lisa sat in her office, her mind spinning. She sipped her coffee slowly, her hand shaking slightly as she placed the cup back on the saucer. He moved out of the bedroom, Jen, Lisa said, her voice heavy with frustration. He even changed the lock on the guest room he moved into. Did I tell you he threw the pin set I gave him? The one he kept on his desk, right into the trash? Along with my picture, no less? Jen, her loyal assistant for years, looked at Lisa with a mix of sympathy and a quiet reproach. Why is he taking it so hard? Lisa sighed deeply. I had to do it this way. I needed to send a message. No one is untouchable. If you do not perform, you're gone. End of story. Jen hesitated but finally spoke. Lisa, I warned you. You should have left him some dignity. The way you handled it, it was cold, boss. Lisa waved her hand dismissively, clearly distracted. It was necessary. How did the team react? Jen's expression turned serious. Not great. Most of the men, and even some of the women, think you are a cold-hearted witch. A few respect your decision, but it is not many. Honestly, a surprising number are updating their resumes. They do not want to work for a company that fires people without any warning. 2 of your top salesmen are already on their way out. One has an interview next week, and the other said this was the push he needed to move closer to his aging parents. Lisa blinked, stunned. That is not what I intended at all. I thought showing them that I meant business, no matter who it was, would push everyone to work harder. Well, it is having the opposite effect, Jen said gently. And if this continues, things could get bad, really bad. Lisa bit her lip, her thoughts racing. She had big plans for her career, aiming for a seat on the board in a couple of years and maybe even chairwoman someday. But this might jeopardize everything. She barely heard Jen's next question. What are you going to do about David? Jen asked cautiously. Lisa waved her hand again, brushing it off. Give him some time and space. He loves me. He will come around. Jen said nothing but thought otherwise. She had been loyal to Lisa for years, but if this ship was sinking, she knew she needed an exit plan for her own sake. I stopped going to the gym, ate junk food, and spent more nights drunk than sober. The house became a mess. Dishes piled up, laundry went untouched, and empty bottles lined the counters. Lisa tried to be supportive to me at first, but my sharp remarks wore her down quickly. Eventually, she sank into silence, retreating to work where she still reigned as Queen Bee. I noticed. It was obvious she felt more at home in the office than in our house. It stung, but I stopped caring enough to comment. Then came the day I stopped bathing. After 3 days, Lisa had finally had enough. For God's sake, David, man up. You stink, and you are getting a pot belly, she snapped, standing in the doorway of the living room. I get it. You are upset. I am sorry. Okay? I could have handled it better. But as you said, I cannot unring the bell. Please, honey, I miss you. I miss the man I married. I miss you in my bed. And yes, I miss you in me. It has been almost a month. Why will you not come back to me? I held up my hands and wiggled my fingers. Sorry, Lisa. I am a little involved at the moment. These guys seem to love me unconditionally. They have never once complained about my performance or threatened to fire me. Lisa's face went pale, then turned beet red. You son of a... I have never cheated on you. Not once in all the years we have been married. And yes, since the word got out we are not getting along. I have had offers, but I turned every single one down. My voice was cold. Oh, we will get back to that in a minute. You may not have cheated with a man, but you have been having an affair with your job since the day we said, I do. It has always come first. Always. Do you know how many anniversaries we missed celebrating together? 8. 8 out of 13 years. Birthdays? Forget it. How many times did you break plans with our parents or friends because something at work came up? And you know what? I am glad we never had kids. They would have thought they were growing up in a single-parent household because they would never have seen you. And about those offers, how many of them came from someone higher up the ladder? I cannot imagine you screwing down. The slap came out of nowhere. For a second, I froze in shock. My cheek burned, and when I looked in the mirror half an hour later, her handprint was still there. You selfish jerk, Lisa spat, her voice trembling. Everything I do for us. So we can retire early and enjoy life together. Maybe I am not Miss Congeniality, but I love you. And no, I have never acted on any of those offers. You are my husband, and I could never betray you like that. You need to get your act together, David. Go take a shower, shave, and let the woman who loves you take you out for dinner. I smiled sadly. Thanks, Lisa, but I have already eaten 3 burritos and a large fry. And about kids? I did not want to end up a biological dead end, but I loved you so much back then that the decision was easy. Still hurts, though, when I see pictures of my clients with their families. What would I even show them? We do not even have a dog. Lisa stood frozen as I walked past her, heading upstairs to shower. When I came back down, she apologized profusely, but I cut her off. Lisa, I know you think firing me was the right call. And maybe you even believe it was just business and does not change how you feel about me. But it was the final straw. I have played second fiddle to your career our entire marriage, and I am done. I hope the board chairman keeps you warm at night, and I hope all the promotions fill the void of a sterile, lonely life. Lisa's jaw dropped, but I continued. Tell me, Lisa, is this hard on you because you regret hurting me, or because people at work are leaving? You created this mess. You made people fear you, and now you have to deal with the fallout. Better hire a spin doctor. You are going to need one. With that, I left for the gym. Please, Jen, Lisa whispered, her voice trembling. Open it and tell me how bad it is. Jen hesitated, but finally tore open the envelope. Her face drained of color as she read through the contents. By the time she finished, she looked like she might faint. Well? Lisa asked, clutching the arms of the chair. What does it say? Jen set the papers gently on the table and took a deep breath. The good news is, he is not filing for divorce. Lisa started to smile, but Jen raised a hand to stop her. The bad news is worse, much worse. He is suing the company, the chairman of the board, and you personally for wrongful termination and emotional distress. Lisa, you need to talk to him, fast. If this goes public, it could destroy your career. Even if he does not win, the bad press will haunt you, and you can forget about ever climbing higher in the company. Lisa paled, her heart pounding. She nodded, grabbed her keys, and drove home, breaking every speed limit on the way. When she arrived, the house was eerily quiet. On the dining room table was a single sheet of paper. She picked it up, her hands trembling as she read, Lisa, I am sorry, but you crossed the line. My lawyer assures me this case is a slam dunk, and your board will do anything to keep it quiet. I made it clear to her that I would accept no settlements. I intend to make this as public as possible. Do not bother looking for me. On her advice, I have moved out, at least temporarily. Despite everything, I still love you, though I am not sure why. When this is over, I am willing to try counseling if you are. Maybe we can find our way back to each other. Maybe not, but I want to try. Oh, and in case you care, I got a job. Something new for me, and I am looking forward to it. We will talk soon. David. Lisa sank into a chair, the letter shaking in her hands. Her entire life and career felt like they were going up in flames. 2 weeks passed in a blur of stress and sleepless nights. The hearing was just days away, and things were only getting worse. The board had sent in an HR expert and a lawyer to evaluate the situation. Their findings were bleak. The employees they interviewed painted Lisa as a demanding, unsympathetic boss who cared more about results than people. Lisa was staring blankly at her computer when the chairman of the board barged into her office, his face red with anger. "Damn it, Lisa," he barked. "You need to fix this now. Solomon Enterprises just pulled out of their contract. That is 18% of our business, gone. They told me they found a cheaper, more reliable supplier whose quality matches or exceeds ours. And that is not all. Apex and Stewart Industries are both hinting they might follow suit. That is another 8%. Lisa's heart sank. Losing a quarter of their business, on top of the wrongful termination case, would be a death blow for her career and maybe the company. "Get out," she said flatly. "I need to think." Boss hesitated. "Look, I know things are a mess, but maybe we could." "Get out," Lisa snapped. When he finally left, Lisa sat there staring at her phone. She had to salvage something. Swallowing her pride, she called Mr. Solomon. "Hello, Mr. Solomon. Thank you for taking my call." "Lisa," he replied warmly. "How many times have I told you to call me Sam? After all these years, we are friends, are we not?" "Yes, we are," she said, forcing a smile. "How is Susan? And I hear your daughter just finished her MBA at Wharton. Impressive." "She is a smart one," Sam said, laughing. "I am giving her a few years to learn the ropes, then Susan and I plan to sail off into the sunset." "That sounds wonderful," Lisa said, her tone softening. "Sam, I know you know why I am calling." "I do," he said, sighing. "Lisa, the new supplier is cheaper, faster, and their quality is excellent. The difference is significant enough that I cannot ignore it." "Have you signed the contract yet?" she asked. "Not yet," Sam admitted. "We are scheduled to finalize everything in 2 weeks." "Please, Sam," Lisa pleaded. "Give me one chance to match or beat their offer. Just one meeting." He hesitated, but finally relented. "All right, one meeting. Set it up." Meanwhile, I was working out at the gym, trying to burn off the anxiety that clung to me like a second skin. My new job had given me a sense of purpose, but his mind kept drifting back to Beverly. Was there anything left of their marriage to salvage? He doubted it. After his workout, he ran into Sam Solomon and his wife, Susan, as they were leaving a nearby theater. "David," Sam said, beaming. "It has been too long." "Sam, Susan, it is great to see you," I replied, genuinely pleased. "What brings you to town?" "We came to see The Odd Couple. Susan has been dying to see this revival," Sam said with a grin. "When I found out it was playing here, I knew we could not miss it." I spent the next hour with them, grateful for the distraction. Sam was everything I admired in a businessman. Kind, generous, and loyal. He treated his employees like family, offering perks like half-days off on anniversaries and thoughtful gifts tailored to their hobbies. It was no wonder turnover at Solomon Enterprises was the lowest in the state. Eventually, the conversation turned serious. "David, I still do not understand why Lisa let you go," Sam said, frowning. "You were one of her best." I shrugged. "She never gave me a chance to explain. She called me into her office and fired me, publicly, no less. It has poisoned the well for me locally. I will probably have to move." Susan, always perceptive, asked gently, "Does Lisa know you are thinking about moving? Would she go with you?" I hesitated. "She does not know. And no, she would never leave her true love, her job." 3 days later, I sat in Sam's office, curious about the invitation. Sam got straight to the point. "David, I want you to come work for me," he said. "My purchasing manager is retiring, and you are the perfect fit. Your experience in sales means vendors cannot pull the wool over your eyes. Plus, you know the industry inside and out." I blinked, stunned. I have never done purchasing before." "Then this is your chance to learn," Sam said, smiling. "It is a change of pace, but you might enjoy it, and I will make sure the pay is worth your while." After some thought, I agreed. For the first time since my firing, I felt excited about the future. On the day of the hearing, Lisa walked into the conference room, her heart pounding. She had not seen me in weeks and was shocked by my transformation. I looked fit, confident, and I was not alone. A stunning blonde sat beside me, her presence radiating power. Lisa recognized her immediately, Amanda Austin, one of the toughest labor lawyers in the state. Lisa swallowed hard. This was going to be a battle. Lisa sat stiffly at the arbitration table, the weight of the past months pressing down on her like a storm cloud. She couldn't believe she was here, defending her actions as CEO in a case brought against her by her own husband. The arbitrator, a middle-aged woman with a sharp gaze and no patience for nonsense, turned to me. "Mr. Sanders, do you have any comment regarding the impact of this case on your personal relationship?" My face remained neutral. "Ma'am, on the advice of my lawyer, I'm here solely to discuss the merits of my wrongful termination claim, not my private life." The arbitrator nodded. "Fair enough. Mrs. Sanders, please explain what happened the day you terminated Mr. Sanders and outline your reasons for doing so." Lisa cleared her throat and launched into her explanation. She recounted how my direct supervisor had come to her about his dismal sales numbers, which had been in steep decline for nearly a year. She claimed that after discussing it thoroughly with Head, they both agreed David needed to be let go. "It was the hardest business decision I've ever had to make," she said, her voice tight with emotion. "But I felt it was necessary for the health of the company." The arbitrator raised an eyebrow. "And do you have documentation to support this decision? Written warnings, probationary plans, or records of counseling sessions?" Lisa's face reddened. "No, we do not. As CEO, I have the authority to terminate employees at will." The arbitrator frowned. "Mrs. Sanders, your company's policy manual states that employees with more than 5 years of service must be given a probationary period, with clearly defined expectations and monthly reviews, before termination. Were you aware of this?" Lisa squirmed in her seat. "I acted within my discretion as CEO. The numbers were alarming, and I feared we might lose valuable accounts. I felt there was no other choice." The arbitrator turned to me. "Mr. Sanders, do you believe her reasoning is valid?" I smiled faintly, though there was no humor in it. "Not at all. There was a very good reason my sales numbers dropped, and I explained it to Head more than once. But when I tried to bring it up with Lisa, she told me to stay out of things above my pay grade. So I did." "And what was the reason for the decline?" the arbitrator asked. David leaned forward. "We were about to launch a new product, and I wanted to clear out the old inventory first. I offered discounts to our customers to move the stock, paving the way for them to buy the new product in bulk. It was a strategic decision, and I kept Head fully informed. In fact, I have statements from 4 clients confirming this plan." My lawyer handed a stack of papers to the arbitrator, who read them carefully. Lisa's lawyer protested, but the arbitrator waved him off. After several minutes, the arbitrator sighed. "Mrs. Sanders, it's clear you violated company policy by not allowing Mr. Sanders the opportunity to address his performance issues or appeal his termination. I'm ordering the company to reinstate Mr. Sanders with full back pay for the time he was separated." Lisa's heart sank, but then I spoke up. "Thank you for the back pay, ma'am, but I won't be returning to the company. I've already started a new job that I'm enjoying." The arbitrator nodded. "That's your choice, Mr. Sanders. However, the company remains obligated to issue the back pay." Back at the office, Lisa's lawyer broke the news to the board. "The arbitration went as expected. We need to get Mr. Sanders his check as soon as possible. My lawyer has made it clear they're moving forward with a lawsuit. This isn't about money, it's about principle. If this goes public, it'll severely damage the company's reputation and our ability to attract top talent." Lisa buried her face in her hands. "What am I supposed to do? David changed his number, moved out, and none of our mutual friends have heard from him." "You'd better figure it out," the lawyer said grimly. I, meanwhile, was settling into his new life. My town was smaller and friendlier than the city I have left behind. I have found a sense of peace in my new role, buying and negotiating instead of selling. For the first time in months, I felt excited about the future. I have even put in an offer on a charming old 2-story house with 6 acres of land. It was more than I needed, but I loved the idea of having space for a garden and a workshop. It reminded me of his grandparents' farm, and I could already imagine the peaceful sound of rain on the roof. That night, I have a vivid dream. I was sitting on the porch of the house, watching children play in the yard. A woman sat beside me, but her face was a blur. When I woke up, the memory lingered, leaving me with a strange sense of hope mixed with melancholy. Lisa's problems only worsened. The company merger was on shaky ground, thanks to Head underhanded attempts to position himself as her replacement. Corporate had flown in an HR representative and a lawyer to deal with the fallout. When Lisa confronted the Head, he smirked. "So, I'm the scapegoat now, huh? Fine. Fire me. But you'd better have your ducks in a row this time." Lisa's voice was ice cold. "Oh, we do. And for the record, this isn't personal. It's just business." She left the meeting with a bitter taste in her mouth, knowing she had borrowed my words to twist the knife. Weeks later, Lisa sat across from me at a business lunch. I was now a purchasing manager for Solomon Enterprises, and she was pitching a deal to regain their business. I was polite but distant. When Lisa asked about our relationship, I spoke plainly. "There hasn't been an us for a long time, Lisa. You minimized me until I disappeared from your life. I'm not coming back to that house. It's a monument to your career, not a home. I've moved on, and I suggest you do the same." Lisa's heart broke as she listened. For the first time, she truly saw the damage she had done, not just to our marriage, but to me as a person. She knew it would take everything she had to rebuild what they had lost, if it was even possible. As she drove home, Lisa resolved to try. But for now, she had other battles to fight, starting with cleaning up the mess boss had left behind. 3 months had passed since the arbitration, and life for both Lisa and I had changed in ways neither of them could have imagined. Lisa worked tirelessly to rebuild her reputation at the company, throwing herself into every project, deal, and board meeting as if her life depended on it. But the truth was, her heart was not in it anymore. The spark she used to feel, the thrill of the chase, the joy of closing a deal, was gone. I, on the other hand, was thriving in his new role at Solomon Enterprises. My boss, Sam, had become not only a mentor but also a friend. I loved the slower pace of life in my new town and the sense of accomplishment that came from building something for myself rather than chasing numbers for someone else. My new home, a charming fixer-upper, was everything he had hoped for. I have replaced the roof with tin shingles, just as I have dreamed, and the rhythmic sound of rain on the roof at night brought me a peace I haven't felt in years. One late autumn afternoon, I was out in the yard, pulling weeds from my newly planted vegetable garden. The air was crisp, the leaves a riot of orange and red, and I felt truly content for the first time in years. That was when I saw the car pull into my driveway, a sleek black sedan that didn't belong to any of his neighbors. Lisa stepped out, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater. She looked different, tired, maybe, but also softer somehow. Her eyes were wide with apprehension as she approached me. "David," she said quietly, "I hope I'm not intruding." I stood, brushing dirt from my hands, and nodded toward the porch. "I was just about to make some coffee. Want to join me?" Over steaming mugs of coffee, Lisa began to speak, her words hesitant at first but gaining strength as she went on. "I came to apologize," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "for everything. For not listening to you. For firing you the way I did. For forgetting who we were. You were right. I made my job my whole life, and I lost sight of what really mattered." I studied her for a long moment. "Why now?" I asked simply. Lisa hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a thick envelope. She slid it across the table toward me. "I resigned," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "It was time. The board asked me to stay, but I just couldn't do it anymore. Not after everything." I blinked, caught off guard. "I didn't expect that." "I didn't either," she admitted with a small laugh. "But after the arbitration, after losing Solomon's account and cleaning up Adler's mess, I realized I wasn't happy. I haven't been happy in years. And I think you were right. My job was my lover. It gave me everything I thought I wanted, but it left me empty." I nodded slowly, his gaze distant. So, what now? Lisa looked down at her hands, then back at him. I've been thinking about what you said, about partnership, about building a life that's balanced, where we both matter equally. I want to try, David. I know I've hurt you, and I know I can't undo the past, but I'd like to see if we can find a way forward. Together. I leaned back in my chair, considering her words. It's not that simple, Lisa. There's a lot of damage, a lot of trust that needs rebuilding. I know, she said earnestly. I'm not asking you to take me back today. I'm asking for a chance, to prove I can be better, to show you that I've changed. I was silent for a long time, my fingers tapping lightly against the side of my mug. Finally, I sighed. You know, Lisa, for the longest time, I thought I needed to get back at you, to hurt you the way you hurt me. But I don't feel that way anymore. I'm happy here. I have a life I love. I don't know if there's room in it for us, but maybe we can start as friends. See where it goes. Lisa's face lit up with cautious hope. I'd like that, more than anything. Over the next few months, Lisa and I kept in touch. They spoke often, met for coffee, and slowly began to rebuild the foundation of their relationship. Not as husband and wife, but as two people who were learning to respect and understand each other again. But life has a way of surprising us. One winter evening, I received a call from Sam. Hey, buddy, I need you to come to the office tomorrow. There's someone I want you to meet. Curious, I agreed. When I arrived, I found Lisa sitting in Sam's office. She was smiling, a real, genuine smile I haven't seen in years. What's going on? I asked, looking between the two of them. Sam grinned. Your ex-wife here has been pitching me a business idea for weeks. And I've got to say, it's a damn good one. She wants to start her own consulting firm, helping companies like ours streamline their operations. I told her I'd be her first client, but only if she could convince you to come on board as her partner. I stared at Lisa, his mind racing. Partner? Lisa nodded, her smile nervous but hopeful. Not just in business, David. In life. I want us to build something together. Not just for me, not just for you, but for us. What do you say? For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Then I thought about the dream I have had. The house, the porch, the laughter of children. I didn't know if they'd ever get there, but for the first time in years, I felt like they might have a chance. I extended my hand, and Lisa took it, her grip firm and steady. Let's give it a shot, I said, a small smile tugging at my lips. But it's going to be 50-50, Lisa. No more shadows. 50-50, she agreed, her eyes shining with unshed tears. And with that, we began again. Not as the people we have been, but as the people we hope to become. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Let us know in the comments.